All right, so for those of you guys that are filing in here at the end of this, the QR code up here is the same as the link above it. Yes, it is benign, I promise. I'm not trying to infect your phones, laptops, mobile devices you brought with you. This is a participation mechanism I'm trying out today during this presentation. If you feel so inclined, please help me out, participate. If you don't, I'm going to have some blank slides. It's going to look really weird on the recording. If you didn't hear my spiel the first time, no rude, vulgar phrases, stuff like that, anything that would offend somebody. Keep it professional, but answer truthfully, okay? I'll give everybody a second to snip that if they need it. It'll also be on the next couple slides moving forward, just in case any latecomers come in. Cool, you got it, so we're good. So let's go, let's start this. So before I go into anything else, if you're doing this from your phone now, it should have changed to a question to answer on your mobile device. As you guys respond, I will see them. Cool, there we go. We got one dull. Who was that? Just so I know. Awesome. Important, very true, tedious, boring, hack the box. Somebody's giving a shout out there. Generic. These are all great answers, guys. This is a lot of what I was expecting, to be honest, too, which is a little sad. That kind of says something about the state of the way we handle training, especially stuff like annual training, right? In today's new digital age where we have all these cool technologies and tools at our disposal. It's still very boring. All right, we'll move on. That's a good enough set of answers. So, why are we here? Why are you guys coming to listen to me? I'm giving my presentation called Hacking the Brain, Learning by Playing. I decided to throw kind of that traditional slide model out the window here. I got really used to building slides in the DoD where they were very dull. You never used anything but black font. It all had to always be the same. Like, you know what? We're going to build something a little different. We're talking about playing after all. So who am I? I am Trey Kraft. You'll see my little gamer tag on Twitter. You can find me on Hack the Box. I am a content developer for Hack the Box Academy. Sorry, I'm making you move a lot. Besides that, I like to play. I play a lot of our own content on Hack the Box. I am an educator. I am a husband and father, a little bit of a gym junkie, and I love video games, especially card games too. So if anyone in here plays Magic, I love the new set. Yep, got a couple guys. Generic disclaimer, you guys have all seen this before, right? My thoughts are my own. What I say through these slides do not represent the thoughts or opinions of Hack the Box themselves or any of my previous employers. They are of me. So, problem. You guys already hit it a little bit, right? How we always handle annual training currently. It's dull, it's tedious, it's very important. This is things we have to do, but no one likes doing it, right? In your head, when I said annual training in that poll question, you like internally groaned. I could see some of you do it, and I heard a couple. And that's typically what we see over on the left, right? Don't click links from Nigerian princes. Like, how many times have you heard that? And just having someone stand up here, like much like I'm doing right now, and just run their mouth at you for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. And you might remember 3 to 5. Didn't engage you. They used an easy monotone voice and just kind of talked like that. That didn't do anything for you, right? You're not entertained. You're not excited about the topic because the speaker's very much not excited about the topic. But what's one thing we all get really excited about? We love to play. We like games. We like to have fun. Why does our training have to be like it is on the left when it could be what it is on the right? I'd say she's having a way better time than those guys sitting in that lecture pew right now. So this slide is pretty interesting. This is going to roll on for a second. Did a survey looking through the internet, doing the whole Google research, all that fun stuff, right, to find out what some of the essential skills and competencies were deemed for a normal IT cybersecurity technician. This isn't anybody that specializes in anything, you just work in this field. This list is about 25 or so skills. That's pretty daunting, right? That's a lot of stuff to master in a lifetime. Do you think you have a mastery over this stuff? Do you do this stuff every day in your daily job? I'm curious to see how you answer. So I have a poll for this. You guys should have it too on your devices. Of those 25 or so skills that were on the slide, how many would you say you use daily? How many of those would you say you're competent in, that you feel like you could potentially do the job and you could do it with minimal assistance and minimal Google? I'll give you a few seconds, Dan. Say again? Exactly. Exactly, that was the point. There's too many there to remember it all. There's no way you can do it. Like, somebody could work in this field for a lifetime and they're not going to master that list. And I'm glad you said that out loud, because that was the whole point of it. Give it another second. All right, so we got about 13, 14. Awesome. Thanks for participating, guys. This makes this a lot more fun for me, too, because I'm not just going, please, somebody do something. All right, so about half of you said 1 to 3 of the skills you'll use. Half says 4 to 8. Some of you are saying 9 or more. You guys are awesome, whoever that is. If you're doing that kind of work, and you're probably overworked, to be honest. Y'all need a break. So next one. How many would you consider yourself competent in? See, this is very telling now, isn't it? We had a lot of people say 4 to 8 they do daily, but majority of those same people said they might be competent at half of that. How does that make you feel about the state of the way your job roles are right now? Of the way the training you received to be in that position set you up? Is that something you've ever actively thought about before or realized about yourself in the role you're actively filling? No, you're good. This is meant to be interactive. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It is definitely an issue that you can do more self-teaching and self-researching than you can actually attending training sometimes, and it's scary. So let's move on. What's the solution? I caught the audio that time. It didn't go through the speakers, though. Who knows what this game is? Has anybody seen this before? Yep, it's Mario Teaches Typing. This came out like late 80s, early 90s. I loved this game as a kid. This was my first exposure to computers. And nothing made me want to play on one more at that time. Of course, a few years later, I found things like EverQuest and Quake, and it was all downhill from there. But this was the start. And this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, and getting back to that grassroots learning as a kid. You didn't learn by listening to a teacher talk to you all day. You learned by playing. You just experimented. You had fun. You weren't afraid to fail. But then slowly we started growing up, and we started caring about our self-image and all of these other little social factors, and now all of a sudden it's a problem. This is where we should be. With gamified learning, it can help us improve the completion rates for ourselves when we do start trainings, when we do either self-paced learning, you attend a SANS conference, something like that, or if you just decide to sit through another college class, if you go and self-teach yourself from a book, as long as you can make it fun, if you can make it a game or turn it around, I guarantee you'll do better. You'll have a higher completion rate. You'll retain more of that knowledge because you're going to apply it to other senses as well. You did something, you had fun, you had a strong emotional reaction. All of those things tie into your memory and those triggers to help you recall that information. So if you have to do something, why not have fun while you're doing it, right? Why? A little more detail into this. This field itself is largely a hands-on field, right? There might be a couple of you in here that are in that higher level management role where a lot of your job relies around policies and procedures and managing people and herding cats, I guess you could say, as opposed to the actual hands-on in the muck, doing incident response, working in a SOC or something like that. But for the most part, it's all hands-on, especially at the junior level and the stuff that we're trying to teach in academia today. So why would we deliver that training in a hands-off manner? It doesn't really make sense to me, and I would hope it doesn't make sense to you. So 38% of us are gamers, according to the latest stats for 2021 on a poll in America, and that age group fell from 18 to 34. The next leading age group was obviously children to 18, and then it tapers off from there. Why was that? Anyone know? Why would our current age group be the highest amount of gamers right now in America? We grew up with them. We came up in the 80s and 90s. That was our past, that was what made us us. That's why we're probably in this field. Is part of it is you saw something you really liked dealing with computers and you just kind of fell in. I know I did. With that kind of stuff and with that knowledge in mind, on average, people spend 9 hours a week playing video games. If that number sounds close to true to you, ask yourself, how long do you spend doing any kind of annual training? How long do you spend refreshing some knowledge or rules or policies you need to know for your job? Probably not 9 hours, right? That stuff's dull. It's boring. You can find it when you need it, right? That's always your answer. I'll find it when I need it. I'll look it up later. Taking that very dull topic and turning it into a game or turning it into even just something interactive with like pictures and sounds and stuff that elicits emotion will improve that engagement just from your students, from your staff, from whoever you happen to be using that training for by up to 60%. If you guys, whoever in here, if you're a hard stats number person, I have the links to the polls and the research for this. I can give it to you if you want it. But for the sake of this demo, take me on faith, all right? And it helps increase productivity too. If you can increase productivity for someone inside their workforce, say on how many alerts and stuff they triage a day, if you turn that into a game, now you're getting more productivity out of your staff. You're getting more stuff checked out. You're being more effective as a company in what you're doing. And all you did was give a small challenge. So keep these things in mind as you leave here today and as you go back out into academia or into your job roles or managerial roles, whatever you're doing. You can have a little bit of fun at work. It doesn't have to be work. So another one. This poll is there for you. This one's not really for me. I'm curious to see what you say. But I want to know how long you guys think you spend playing a game. 0. We got some bookworms in here, huh? 3 hours, that sounds closer to right. 4, 6, there's our MMORPG players. Yeah. So it's a lot of time. It happens to be your prerogative for that one, but I understand it. That makes sense. But overall, these are good answers still. These are all, it's a lot of time, and that's what I was wanting to impress on you guys is we sink a lot of time into stuff that we love or that makes us feel good and not a lot of time into the dull and mundane. So how can this help us? From a cognitive sense, we're taking huge, huge skills and competencies, right? Each one of our fields, if you think about it in cybersecurity today, is a niche in and of itself. You can be a person that all you do is traffic analysis. All you do is endpoint incident response. Or all you happen to do is, say, deal with virtualization, build servers all day. Like, that's your job. That's a niche. And I would like to say, I know in my mind I'm very kind of put myself down at times, but I don't think I'm a master at any of those roles. And I don't think I'll ever get there because this role evolves so quickly with what we do. Taking that knowledge, breaking it into smaller chunks, and turning it into something that can be easily digestible, say in a half hour, an hour, or through one session, can help with that recall, can help from that cognitive aspect. And it will provide growth because over time, those small chunks you broke stuff down into will start to combine and become bigger chunks. Those bigger chunks become an overall process in your brain, in your way you do your tasks throughout your day. And it makes recall easier. It now becomes muscle memory. It's not just, oh man, how did I do X again? And then you go look through your OneNote and you dig through it all forever. It slowly builds and you get the recall and it helps. From an emotional standpoint, I think one of the biggest pieces this will help with, especially for those of you that are dealing with children or high schoolers at this time, is that fear of failure. Everyone hates to fail. Everyone hates looking stupid. It's like me right now. I hate that I stand up here in front of you and I stuttered 2 slides ago. That's eating me in the back of my head. Is it a big deal? No, but that's a failure in my eyes. And that problem elicits an emotional reaction, and I'm sure it will for many other people. If we can take that failure by having them consistently do that task over and over again and fail and fail and fail, eventually that becomes a challenge, right? That's no longer something you fear. That's something you have to conquer. That's something you want to conquer. For the gamers in here, who's ever played Dark Souls? What'd you spend most of your time doing in that game? Dying and reloading, right? What did that make you do with that game? Yeah, you put it down for a while. Mostly you die, reload, play again, die, reload, play again. Then you rage quit, throw your controller, and you come back a few hours later or a day later, and you try the same exact level again, and you keep on going. Eventually, you get past that stuff. That game's a great example of this, being a motivator. The next piece is that social aspect. By gamifying your learning and whatever the lesson is you're trying to pass on to people, you're giving them a chance to put on a new hat for a little while. They can explore a new identity and see if they like it, see if it's something they want to do, see if it's something they have an actual interest in. They might need it for that lesson at the time, or it might be a requirement, but it allows them to change their mindset. It's no longer me, Trey, taking a class about incident response. I am now the responder. I'm a detective doing some research. I'm looking for clues. It's a whole different scenario, right? Like, that sounds interesting. Thinking about me just sitting in a class sounds super boring. Like, you guys were turned off at the thought of that. But being a super spy, that sounds really cool. Being a secret agent, going and doing research and talking to people that have issues, like, all that stuff is interesting, and that's how people can try on and play at for a little while. So the old hats in here will love this one. I have the answer to your prayers. I can tell you how to fix this issue right now. Can anyone tell me what that is? Yep, probably one of the most famous things when it comes to cheat codes out there right now, right? I put that in there just for some giggles. Thanks for participating and helping me out. So, these are the 4 main ideas that I like to address when we think about gamifying learning. So think about any topic that suits you for your role and what you're doing if you happen to be a manager or someone that develops training or works in academia. If you can apply these 4 main tenets to that training, you will see a much larger uptick in the way your students react to you, the way they recall that information, even the fact of them just loving to come to class from that point on, knowing, hey, we're going to play a game today, we're going to do something cool, not just sit there and listen to the teacher talk, right? What was everyone's favorite day back in high school or middle school when you go to class? Skip day, followed closely by Jeopardy, or when you saw the TV cart roll out, right? Those were the cool days. You were never excited to listen to a teacher talk, but you loved playing while you were there. First one, narrative. How's this look for you guys up there? Good? Cool. So I put this one up here as a good example of applying a narrative to something that can be considered really dull or mundane. This is a little bit of a spoiler for a class that I'm building currently. I give the student the scenario. You're a junior sysadmin security to work for that company, so they think you have what it takes. They're going to issue you a challenge. The challenge is you're going to finish this module. At the end of it, there's a skills assessment. If you pass that skills assessment, you qualify to be on their team. So now I took something that is generic IT and gave them a focus, gave them a challenge. There's something different to do. That narrative will entice people to continue on and playing, or it'll hook them in. All of a sudden, now they're invested in the process, in the scenario. It's not just because it's good for them or they have to know it for their job. They want to know how the story plays out. They want to see what the skills assessment are, that kind of a thing. Challenges. Quest chains to break up big ideas. We talked about how our memory is and how we retain information, and you can only take so many chunks in at a time. If any of you have worked in psychology or anything like that before, you get the basis of chunking theory and short-term memory. You can only take so much before your brain just lets it slide in one ear and out the other. By taking those big level topics, like let's say traffic analysis, and breaking it into different pieces, like, okay, let's talk about TCP/IP, let's talk about the individual levels in the model. Now we're taking this really big topic and we're making it into a smaller quest. Each one of those quests will build upon each other, and eventually you complete that chain or those challenges. What we're doing here is you're giving them something that's small, easily digestible. You're defining a rule set of what they have to do, what the requirements are to beat that challenge, and in the end, you're giving them a reward. I built out this little quest window here. Anybody recognize that? I'm sure. It's World of Warcraft, right? That was pretty fun to make. But gave a little scenario here. Can you decrypt this message? It washed up on the shore, but it just looks like gibberish to me. I don't know what it says. Can you help me out? What's the objective of the quest? Decode this message for Traycraft, and let's see where this clue leads. What's the reward? Knowledge. You might learn something. You might get a new quest. The chain might continue. Or it might be the end, and it'll give you the big answer you've been looking for the entire time. Yes, it played that time. So progress mechanics. This is a big one. I think this is a factor in a lot of our lives, is we're very competitive by nature. If you can give your students or even yourself some form or mechanism to level up, to gain experience through class or prestige, it'll increase your engagement. It'll ensure that they're on task, yes sir, and they're ready to go. Things like badges and flair, obviously saying I work for Hack the Box, I gave you a couple examples from our site. Badges are something, they're very, very simple, right? Oftentimes meaningless. They mean you hit a hurdle or an accomplishment, you did a thing, or you talked to a person, stuff like that. People love badges though. Like that's your thing. If anyone here like plays Candy Crush, like you cracked 1 million purple candies and you get a new badge. Like that stuff makes people happy. It makes you cool. You get a little neurochemical reaction happen in your head and you love it and you remember it and you want to do it again. The same thing applies to stuff like rankings or flair. It's really cool, and you can see it in how people go crazy in the Hack the Box Discord when they go from like noob to script kiddie or script kiddie to hacker. People love that stuff, and that's just intrinsic to our nature. If you can rank up, if you can show progress and be able to show your friends progress, it'll go a long way. You can take that whole fear of things like grades and taking tests, and you can turn it. Who in here is in college right now currently? How many of your professors grade your tests the day you turn them in? None, right? How about a week later? One. How about by grades are usually like the night before, right? Is that scary to you? Or are you all right with that? That's fine. No, right? He's like, no, that's not cool. It's not okay. Because now you sit and you fret for weeks going, okay, did I pass that test? Did I get that knowledge? Do I know what's going on? Or did I fail? By sprinkling grades or giving them experience points in between, you're giving immediate feedback. You're helping keep the cycle along. You're helping them progress because they're going, cool, I passed, awesome, next skill, I learned it, move on. Or crap, I failed, try that again, do it again. And it helps with retention. It helps bring it all together. People like that instant feedback. So keep this in mind as you start building out new training or as you try to implement some kind of program with your students. And collaboration. This one I feel is a really big deal. And this is a life skill most people don't get, which is kind of weird to say. Encouraging teamwork, focusing on puzzles and challenges and stuff that require your students or whoever's taking that training or that learning progress to work together can go a long way. Most people don't like talking to other people. You don't like asking for help. You don't like saying you don't know. But if you make them have to, you normalize it. It's no longer a fear. It's no longer an issue. They realize it's okay. It's okay not to know everything. It's okay to ask for help. So as long as you build in mechanisms that, one, allow them that outlet to ask you or a neighbor for help or to collaborate and join a group for the raid, do that kind of stuff. Yeah, see? Got a smile there too. It makes it easier. You're not as afraid. You're ready to go. You want to do it now. You're not just hiding in the back, hoping no one notices you. So that's kind of where I'm trying to get with this. I wanted to normalize those issues and bring them to the forefront and make them okay. It's not a problem any longer. Disclaimer for gamified learning. For all its pluses and all the great things that I think it entails and I feel about it, it does have problems. So it's not a one-shot solution. It's very tedious and time-consuming to build out these kind of stuffs. That little quest window I made a couple slides earlier, that took me about 5 hours to put that together. I had to source the exact fonts, find the quest little bubble window, go through and actually make the base 64 encoded text, hint, hint, and do all of these other kind of things. But I feel like it was worthwhile just to see the reactions I got out of some of you when I put that up there. Not every student's going to react that way, though. Some students really don't like being put on the spot. Some may not like narrative. They might be the competitive type where all they do is they play PvP all day. They don't even look at the scenario of their games and stuff like that. So that kind of stuff might not hook them. The key is to find that balance and understand your audience and who you're talking to and dealing with, because then you can almost tailor make it to each person. Use the same general scenario, but you put little sprinkles of that influence throughout so that it keeps them coming and keeps them progressing. This I'm putting out here for you guys. Am I close? Close to time? 5? Okay. Some resources to help you level up. If you're looking for like general skills progression for all the individual learners out here, or the self-taught people like we have up here, Hack the Box Academy. We've got some awesome classes from Linux and Windows fundamentals to hacking WordPress to fuzzing applications to attacking common services and apps. How many of you have ever attacked Splunk before? Would you know how? You want to try? We've got a class that'll let you do it. You can learn from so many other places besides us, though. YouTube is an invaluable resource. It is a gold mine for stuff out there if you want to know. And I'm sure you can think of 3, 4, 5 other names or places you can go to find general skills training, right? CTFs. If you've never played Holiday Hack Challenge, go home tonight and play it. You've got homework. It's a game. You'll have fun. That's where the picture comes from here. Holiday Hack Challenge is probably my favorite thing to play come holiday season. It's literally a game that takes cyber and makes it a game. In that previous image, I was an elf in Santa's castle in the North Pole trying to hack an arcade shelf. So I'm literally playing a game trying to hack a game. Like, what's cooler than that when it comes to IT and cyber? There's not much. For Pico CTF, if you've never played a CTF before and it's still afraid or a scary thing for you, they will literally teach you how to CTF. That's what their entire website's dedicated to. And it's a cool little resource. What about learning programming languages? I'll say for me, this is a personal problem that I have. It's always been a daunting and scary thing. These 3 resources here, open the wire. If you don't know Bash, it is a fun way to learn Bash. With Under the Wire, it's the same thing, but for PowerShell. They've turned these programming languages and they've made them into a game, into challenge, into puzzles. And there's plenty of different levels. As you solve one level, the password or the phrase or whatever happens to be the flag that you found is the password to let you into the next level. So it's a progression game, and it's really fun. It made PowerShell and Bash not as daunting. This third one down here, the little computer screen, that's from a website called Python Challenge. It's basically just based in your URL, and it allows you to experiment and play with Python, and the challenges they give you are to affect the web. This example, they gave you a hint where they're saying, try messing with the URL in the address block. If you can change it, you'll progress to the next level. And then they give you little hints, obviously, through the pictures. Did anybody decode that? It's right here in the text box, too, if anyone wants to give it a try. No. Man. I'll leave it up for a second or two if somebody wants to give it a try. I'll take questions while we're going. First one to answer that, I've got a cool little gift for you. There you want to. All right, cool. Whoever that was, who's that first one? Hand. Come see me after this, all right? Figured at least somebody would give it a try. What questions do you guys have for me? I got a few minutes left, right? Cool, perfect timing. I did this in 1 hour and 15 minutes 2 nights ago, so I'm kind of proud of myself for bringing that down to a half hour. Any questions, comments, concerns? Sorry, can you speak up, please? Or yeah, there you go, that works too. I would solve that issue by finding the balance. Not everyone likes games. Some of you might prefer a board game, or you might just like to read, and that's your thing. That's where in traditional learning, you take that lecture model, say today we do a lecture, we do a talk about a specific skill. Tomorrow, we play a challenge that lets you practice the skill. That would be my recommendation on how to solve that problem. Yes, sir? The answer to that question is I don't know your employer, so I couldn't tell you. But what I would say is they probably have a training program in place already. Get involved. If that's something you feel strongly about, help them. That's something you can change on your own. A lot of this stuff is pretty easy with stuff like CTFD. You can stand a CTF up in hours. Add some questions, add some answers, and you're good. So if it's something that you have interest in, That would be the easiest way, is to just be involved in that training team. Yes, probably last one right here.
Just a comment. If people like that, Project Boiler is another way to, a game-ish way to learn programming languages. And there's also a thing called Advent of Code every Christmas.
Yep.
25-day Advent calendar programming puzzles.
Yeah, Advent Code's awesome too. I've played that one. Same with, if you like learning new languages, Duolingo is a perfect example of Gamified Learning. All right. Well, that was my talk, guys. Thanks for coming and listening to me elaborate here for a few minutes. Thanks for participating in the poll everywhere. I was hoping that worked out. If you have questions, comments, concerns, you just want to reach out to me and say, you did awesome or you suck. That's me on Twitter, and you can find me in various Discords as well. Thank you.